Catch a Vibe with Big Hass, only on Pulse 95.
And we're going to say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace, love, and blessings, and welcome to episode number 57. It's a beautiful Sunday night, and I got you Catch a Vibe, which is Pulse's first and only music-dedicated radio show. In it, we really interview and host and chat to musicians, songwriters, singers, poets. That's the cool thing about Catch a Vibe. And Catch a Vibe's essence is to humanize the artist. We're definitely going to hear them perform, sing, do a poem, but we want to get to know the human behind this incredible, artist. Today is a really, truly special one for many reasons. So, a backstory, I came to this beautiful country about 6 years ago. And when I came in here, I made it a point to do my homework. I'm from Saudi Arabia. I've been doing my thing in Saudi Arabia for a while. But then when I came here, I wanted to learn who's been doing what's been doing, who's really making that impact, who is doing it. And this human being, first time I saw him, and maybe he doesn't know this, but first time I saw him, I was standing like I was screaming, I was clapping, I was so engaged with him. He's an incredible slam poet, human being, just somebody who really so much talent and way with words. The first Emiarti slam poet, the incredible, the amazing SALEM Al Attas. We're going to say Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wow, what an intro.
Nah, man.
Can I give you my backstory for that day?
Oh, yeah.
So when I heard that you were coming, I'm like, Big Hass is coming.
Sure.
Because I knew you before.
Wow.
I'm like, he's coming, he's crazy, and all this stuff. And, I knew all the things you were talking about with your kid with autism, and my brother has autism.
Oh,
and
bless.
how much you support the arts and everything. And so I was friends with Saudi people who were big fans of you.
Oh, man.
So when
Bless.
I knew you were coming, I was like, this is huge. So when I met you, I still have that picture somewhere of all of us taking the picture together. I was like, this is amazing, man. So,
man, no, seriously, thank you for being who you are. And I think, like I said, the way you use your words is incredible. So I guess the first question is, what was it about poetry that attracted a young Emirati, Matt? What was it about poetry that attracted you?
I think that I always connected to words. I connected to lyrics and things like that. I loved stories. I mean, I read my first Harry Potter book when I was 9 years old.
Wow.
I, whenever I would listen to songs, if there were lines that I really liked, they would kind of stick with me. I'd put them somewhere. And I always felt like my thoughts and my emotions were always jumbled up in my head. And whenever I'd put them down, it just made it easier to address. Okay, now it's not in here or in here, it's out there. Right. And I can address it as what it is outside. And so writing just helped me sort through so many different kinds of feelings and stuff when I was younger and up to now.
When was it? What year was it? How old were you when you discovered you have a passion for that?
So I always loved writing. I used to write poetry in the 5th grade. I used to write a little bit, and then in middle school I wrote a lot of poetry. I had poetry books that I had written. I say poetry books. I had a daftar. I was just writing for daftar and all that stuff. For daftar, yeah. The green one with the lines.
You had that as well.
Of course.
We had that.
But it wasn't until I started performing regularly, starting 17, 18. And I always used to write poetry. I never performed poetry. So when I performed poetry, I was like, oh yeah, this is for me.
It's a different ball game.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
That's incredible. Thank you for sharing that. What was it about that performing that let you okay, this is for me? What was it? What aspect?
So when you're in a regular conversation with someone, at all times we are looking for some kind of validation.
Facts.
We're looking for them to accept and respect our feelings and our opinions about what we're saying. When you're on stage, that response that they give you is 100 times amplified.
Fair.
So if you say a joke that's funny, it's hilarious. If you say something that's sad, it's devastating. And so the first time I performed, I wrote it was a very corny love poem. I'm 17, what am I going to write about, right? It's puppy love. But the jokes banged so hard. Oh. And the cute moments, they went crazy. And so just that feeling of being seen as that artist,
do you remember that poem?
I have it.
You do?
It's somewhere online.
Oh, okay.
There's a video of it a friend of mine took.
Wow.
And what's crazy is when I watch that performance, it's a horrible performance. I'm monotone.
I need to see it.
Yeah, I'm reading. I'll send you the link. I'm reading from an A4 piece of paper.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But the crowd is reacting in such a way you would have thought I was the biggest poet in the world.
That was the first ever performance for you?
First ever performance.
Were you
So
nervous?
Of course. Well, what happened was I was studying at a university, and the International Exchange Office said, hey, we want to do an open mic.
Okay.
So just submit your poem and everything. I got so excited. I wrote my poem. I printed it on a piece of paper. And when I went to perform, I'm reading it and I'm watching now. It's like, oh God, I have all these nervous tics. I'm swaying from side to side. My voice is monotone. But it was, that was it. I came into that event one person. I left somebody different.
Crazy that you say that.
Yeah.
I think this is the power. Wow. What a statement.
Yeah.
What is it about words that, because, I have so much respect for, obviously, poets, slam poets, and we'll talk about that a little bit as well. What is it about words? If anyone is listening to us right now, and I ask this question to so many poets before, and it confuses them a lot. I don't know if it confuses you as well, but how do you know you're a poet?
Wow. That's a good question, because for the longest time, I didn't consider myself a poet. Because I would listen to everybody else's poetry compared to mine.
Yes.
And I would say, well, their poetry's better. I'm just better at performing. So I'm not a poet, I'm a performer. And when I decided to call myself a poet was when I felt like I was being honest in my poetry. I loved performing. I loved doing these bombastic poems and things like that. But I was never emotionally honest in my poetry. And so when I decided to be honest about how I felt about things, whether they were insecurities, whether about dreams, whether about my ego and how big it was, when I started to be honest, that's when I called myself a poet.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's like 7 minutes and he's already dropping jewels. Already drop. I was like, oh my God, I love what you just said. We're going to take a very short break. I'm going to put you on the spot.
All right.
So obviously we're a radio station.
Yes.
We play records, songs
Yes.
in between.
Yes.
If I want you to play a record right now for me,
Yeah.
you're the radio guy.
Uh-huh.
Do you have something in mind?
Like a favorite record?
Any song, as long as it's clean, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's an India RE song called Get It Together
Get It Together.
by India RE.
Okay.
I heard it because when I was a kid, my favorite movie was Shark Tale.
Oh my God.
You know the one with Will Smith?
Yeah.
And
Bro, I
it was a
love that
song
record.
about
I
taking...
love that movie.
It's an amazing movie. It's so good.
I think it's underrated.
It is underrated.
It and Coco, I think, like their
Coco
song.
makes me cry.
Yeah.
Every time Coco
Yeah,
makes
fact.
me cry. But that song is just about like taking... it's about taking... Honestly, it's about taking accountability.
Yeah.
About who
Yeah.
you are and your feelings, and like not letting people weaponize what they say about you and their opinions on you.
I mean, I'm telling you, this is already one of my top interviews of all time.
Oh, come on, man.
Man, oh man. Ladies and gentlemen, okay, let's hear that record. We're going to be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, an incredible human being. SALEM Al ATTAS, an amazing Emiarti poet, slam poet, human being. Somebody who's really, I'm a big fan of. So it's so cool that he's here. We're going to be right back. Keep it locked. Do not go anywhere. It's Pulse 95.
Catch a vibe with Big Hass, only on Pulse 95.
Pulse 95 Radio, ladies and gentlemen, catch a vibe, the first and only music dedicated radio show right here, obviously on Pulse 95 Radio, Sharjah's first and only English radio station. Episode number 58, I am with the first Emirati slam poet, the incredible SALEM Al ATTAS, who is, as a human being, he gives you good energy, but there's so much, I feel, depth about him. SALEM, thank you so much for coming through, man.
Thank you for
all the way
having
from
me,
Abu
man.
Dhabi, really appreciate it. Before we actually hear you, do a poem for us, I wanted to talk to you about, for many of the listeners, I'm a big fan of hip hop, and obviously
Yeah.
with hip hop, slam poetry is, poetry is is a part of rap,
Yeah.
rap, rhythm, and poetry and all.
Yeah.
But I want you to explain to me what's the difference between a poet and a slam poet, like if there's any difference, and what is that difference?
So there's two main differences that I can comfortably talk about.
Okay.
Without being someone who's like well versed in the history.
Yeah.
Simply, a slam poet is somebody who competes in poetry.
Love
So
that.
anybody can be a poet, but a slam poet just means you compete in poetry or you have competed in poetry. And another thing is when people think of a poet, they might think of like people on button poetry who just talk about, depression and all of these things. But the great thing about poetry and slam poetry is that there's no structure. You don't have to say it a certain way. You don't have to follow a rhyme scheme. You can rhyme, you cannot rhyme. It can be this long, this short. Only rules are it's original content, it's under 3 minutes, no props. That's it.
Man.
So and anything can be considered a prop. So if I touch my glasses for effect, that's a prop. I'm disqualified.
Really? We're definitely going to be talking about, the competition that you've been, part of. But yeah, that's amazing. Okay. We were talking off air about, there are like kind of two things that you really enjoy, like, hip hop and stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
What do you enjoy about both of them?
Well, so look, what I like about hip hop is the lyricism. I mean, there are people like Kendrick, like Cole, even like back to Sugar Hill Gang, my uncle's times, where the lyrics were the point.
A fact.
The beat was just the wave that took you to where you're trying to go, but the journey is with the lyrics.
Fact.
And so those were always the things that I like to gravitate to when it came to music. Like,
nice.
There's a rapper, his name is West Side Boogie.
Yeah?
West Side Boogie is maybe my favorite artist right now, just because of how like his lyricism makes me uncomfortable as a writer, because he's just so good at it.
Yeah.
And with regards to stand-up comedy, I'll tell you, I love stand-up comedy because it terrifies me.
Yeah.
And two, because the right kind of stand-up comedian will layer a joke until the room explodes when the punchline shows up. So if
that is a fact.
So if you're a Bernie Mac, if you're a Dave Chappelle,
man.
Shout out to Cat Williams,
oh my God,
these kinds of people, and there's so many different kinds of styles, right? So there's a guy called Nate Bargatze, and he's just kind of like this downtrodden guy, but it's all an act. It's like a downtrodden guy. But the jokes just come and slit your ankles, And then there are some people like Cat Williams that just come in with a machine gun.
Boom.
Like, that bit that every day I'm hustling.
Yeah.
That's how he starts. That's an ending bit. That's how he starts,
Crazy.
And so those kinds of people kind of force me to re-examine what does it mean for me to be a writer and what does it mean for me to be a performer. Because I'm in a space where a lot of people use the stage as like therapy. So they're the patient and everybody else is the doctor. I don't see it that way. I see it as much more transactional. I am here to entertain you, and you're going to validate how I feel about myself as an entertainer. You know what I mean?
Love that.
So, yeah.
Wow. That is really interesting. When it comes to poetry, you talk a lot about the validation you just said right now. And you've done so much in the UAE right here. Shout out to Rooftop Rhythms and shout out to
Rooftop,
definitely, of
Dorian,
course.
Paul Rogers.
Shout out to them, of course. When we talk about that, do you feel you're able to? And I know it's a tough question, but do you feel that you're being given your flowers right here? Because for one, I give you your flowers. You've been able to do really seriously. You've been able to do a lot of things. Especially with how you do it. And we're about to hear you and understand why. But do you feel people are understanding what you're trying to do, especially right here in the UAE?
I think that the people whose opinion matters have always given me the respect that they think I deserve, and I agree with them.
Oh, wow.
So people like Big Haas, people like Dorian, people like Jason Zane, these big heavyweight poets and artists. Jason Zane, right?
Oh, my God.
And so when these people show me love, when the poets before me, the poets who are coming after me show me love, and I show them love back, then that's all I need.
The reason why I'm saying... Go ahead, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, because the art scene is so big, and poets in general maybe aren't considered the cool kind of niche, but within poetry, I feel very comfortable in my place with it, because it's not necessarily about getting my flowers, it's that we're all sharing the garden. You know what I mean? That was on purpose. I tried to make.
I was like, I can't mess with that. That's so dope.
But I was like, I need to come up with something cool. That was. I was trying too hard. That.
No, but seriously, I think it's the interesting part about why I said what I said is because the UAE is home for 190 plus nationality.
Yeah.
So diverse. What makes this country that's celebrated just 50 plus years right now unique is the diversity, alhamdulillah, of it. Like if you go to Saudi Arabia, 80% of the population is Saudi.
Yeah.
And so over here, I think this is an advantage that not a lot of countries have.
Yeah.
Does that in any way inspire you in your poetry? Like, I'm talking, of course, about the UAE.
Let me
I'm
say
sure.
something, and I'm not being hyperbolic here. The UAE is one of the best places to be as a poet for one simple reason. There is no monolith when it comes to styles of poetry. When I went to Houston, there was diversity, but because Houston is diverse. When I went to Washington, there was no diversity. Everybody was talking about the same stuff. In Abu Dhabi, nobody is talking about the same thing. The only place that you'll find it's monolithic is sometimes the style of recitation all kind of sounds like a specific YouTube channel of poetry, a specific poet. And I'm just going to say it. I can't stand it. If you could have the best poem, but once I hear you go, when I found out that I can't tell us. Once I hear that cadence, I can. That's why I love Ziad. Shout out to Ziad Gadu.
Shout out to Ziad
That
Gadu.
guy is who he is.
Yeah.
And his style is so different. I can hear him do poetry about anything.
Correct.
But you could be doing poetry about me. If I hear that style, I gotta cut it up. I can't listen to it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy that you say that. So, before you do a piece for us,
Yeah.
in what way did the UAE inspire you? And when I say that, you're Emirati,
Yeah. Yeah.
based in Abu Dhabi, and obviously you've inspired, I think, a lot of people right now to get into poetry. You've changed their perception about poetry because you're Emirati.
Yeah.
They'll see one of their own doing it and excelling at it.
Yeah.
And so in what way did the UAE kind of inspire you that way, poetry-wise?
Well, I'll put it in one word: freedom.
Amazing.
With the UAE, you don't have to choose between doing your career and following your dreams.
Explain.
So I've been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah.
In that time, I've done my degree, I've graduated, I've been working for the last 6 years. And at the same time, I've been a poet and I've been doing commercials and I've been doing all of these things. So I have had, you don't have to live as a starving artist here. So I was inspired by the fact that I have support from every side to really just be a poet. I go to poetry events that don't cost me anything to perform. I get opportunities where I get to represent my country. I am learning
backed up.
and I'm backed up.
Yeah.
And the UAE funds and brings artists from all over the world that come and want to live here, and I get to learn from them. So I don't have to go anywhere to learn from great poets because the great poets come here.
Ya Allah. Yeah. That deserves a big round of applause.
Yep.
I love that. Okay. So you've been hearing SALEM Al Attas right now for the past, 15, 20 minutes on the radio. He's about to perform something for us. What are you going to perform?
So I was at a poetry event once.
Okay.
And I didn't know that they had a theme for the evening.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know what it was. I was like, oh, and they're like, the
No
theme
way.
is beginnings.
Beginnings.
So I'm like, oh, okay. So, I'm late on the list. I'm just sitting, I'm writing my poem on my phone. And then once it was ready, I performed it. And
Oh, wow.
when I performed it that night, everyone was like, oh, nice, it's a nice poem. It became one of my staple pieces. I perform it anytime I do a set, when I'm trying to get the crowd on my side.
Oh, man.
And it's one of my favorite pieces because it really represents my journey in poetry.
Wow. Does it have a name?
Beginnings.
Beginnings.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay. So I'm going to put the music down, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, we are in the presence, really, of greatness. I love this human being. He's really very,
Love you
very,
back,
very, very talented. Really talented. And again, SALEM Al Attas. Take it away, my brother.
I started writing poetry when I was 9 years old. I wrote what I thought poetry is supposed to sound like. Sad white people in despair. Like I didn't have a family who cared. Because I didn't know what it would mean to me. It reveals to me on late nights and not long enough showers that I am not okay. Or I am. Poetry sends mixed signals. I started writing poetry in the 8th grade. I liked a girl, which is super confusing because girls are confusing. So what am I doing? Because she liked Khalid. And Khalid was good at football. And I had asthma. So it's hard to catch a breath you never had.
Wow.
I could never catch a break because at break time I was writing and fighting because it's easy to pick on the angry kid with glasses. I started writing poetry when I was 17. I didn't tell my friends I wanted to perform. They all came with their secret poems anyway. We spoke of love and anger and home and what it all meant for us, what it could mean to be in love with an idea, and how secrets claw out of your sleeve onto a notepad or the note app on your iPhone. I'd sneak away from home to perform because being yourself can be deadly. Show them who you are and they use it against you. They come with violent words that impress you like, wow, you went that low. Slitting my ankle so that I couldn't walk, but I had already learned to fly. I started writing poetry today. It's hard to figure out where a poem is taking you. Do I want to write you, or is the crowd making you? I paid for you. Wow. The price for poetry is painful pondering, penetrating skin deep. Not enough to kill me, just so you can feel me. Because poetry is a spiral, and I don't know which way I'm going. All I know is that I'll probably start writing tomorrow.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was dope.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
That was deep.
Yeah. So,
is it hard sometimes to perform poetry like this? Because you're talking about your life right here.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I wrote that in the right time in my life. I wrote that in a time when I felt it was okay to be unapologetic. And this poem isn't about a victim. This is about a victory. It's about somebody who has accepted that they're a poet and wants to be a poet, and every day is choosing to be a poet, and maybe I'll start writing tomorrow, and I love getting to address the relationship I have with the crowd of, do I want to be doing this, or am I compelled by the fact that I'm addicted to being on stage? Can I come to an open mic and not perform and just be a member of the crowd? And that was something I had to learn. And so kind of having those conversations with myself make performance easy. It makes it fun.
Can I say something? I think this is maybe one of the longest conversations we've had.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Because we don't see each other a lot, but yeah. And it's just really been amazing. I've been here in this beautiful country for 6 years and a half right now, and it's just really been beautiful. And like I said in the intro, you kind of truly. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going through a tough time, and what you just said right now, it really kind of uplifts. And I guess this is what poetry is about, in a way, right? In a way that with like you say, with autism, with my son, sometimes it's tough. And I want to take this opportunity to say that autism is not a disease; it's a way of life. Absolutely. And shout out to all the parents, the autism parents out there, the mamas and the babas.
Shout out to all of them.
But that was incredible. I need a small break for this one just because it was incredible. But going back to you, what song can we play right now on the radio? It could be Arabic, English, whatever record.
It could be
any record that you feel that we can play. But it's one of my favorite moments because, I get to see this.
You put me on the spot, man. You know what?
Yeah.
One of my favorites as a kid, Usher, Superstar.
Oh, my God.
That's one of my favorites. I love R&B. That's my favorite.
I'm telling you, this guy right now, he's really, oh, man, a beautiful, beautiful record. We're going to be right back. Keep it locked. Do not go anywhere. We are with the first Emirati slam poet, SALEM Al Attas. Incredible human being. Just so much talent and humbleness and just authenticity. I can talk about him for all day. We're going to be right back. Catch a vibe, Pulse 95.
Catch a vibe with Big Hess. Only on Pulse. Pulse 95. Pulse.
Only on Pulse 95 Radio. Catch a vibe, ladies and gentlemen, airs every Saturday and Sunday from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. right here on this beautiful station. Episode 58. I am with the first Emirati slam poet, the amazing SALEM Al Attas. SALEM, excuse my ignorance, but I want to talk about poetry competitions.
Yeah.
How does that work over here? And I know, for example, Rooftop Rhythms have done a lot of work regarding that. Generally, then they've done a lot of work with poetry right here. One of the pillars, the main pillar when it comes to poetry in the UAE. Mm-hmm. But talk to me about competitions that you've been part of, and just tell me why are they important, poetry competitions? Because anybody who's listening to us right now, what do you mean poetry competitions?
Yeah.
Where does that happen? Why don't we hear about it more? And how important it is for the poet, him or herself.
So the way competitions usually work, and I'll try to say this in under 30 seconds or under a minute. Yeah. Basically, they choose 5 people from the crowd that don't know anybody who's competing.
Yeah.
You have 3 minutes to perform original pieces with no props. You are scored from 0.0 to 10.0. They drop the lowest and the highest score, so it's out of 30.
Okay.
You go through 2 rounds. Whoever has the highest cumulative score wins. If there's a tie, you go to a sudden death 3rd round, and the winner becomes a slam champ winner. And then all the winners of the slam competitions come together, and the winner of that is the Grand Slam champion. And so that's, my favorite thing, because I've won it 3 times.
Mashallah. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
So with that.
Yes.
So I love hip hop and basketball.
Yeah.
And in basketball, I'm a competitive person.
Okay.
When we talk about the word competitive,
yeah,
where is it in SALEM Al Attas' mind? because I feel like you're very competitive.
Well,
and I
first
love
of all, I'll tell you how competitive I am. The second you said basketball, I said, "What's up? Let's go."
Okay.
I literally asked my wife for our anniversary this year for some new basketball shoes, and she got some Giannis freaks.
Antetokounmpo. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm very competitive. I take it very seriously. When it comes to competition,
I feel that.
I'm going to memorize my poem over and over and over until it becomes a part of me. I will perform it in the mirror to see what my mannerisms look like. I'll go to smaller open mics like Blank Space or anywhere else, or like Dubai Poetry Slam, just to practice and see what parts the crowd reacts to, so I know when to pause to give them that space to perform it.
Whoa.
I'm going to time myself. I'm going to sharpen it.
That's
I'm
Mamba
going to make
mentality
sure
right
I'm
there.
looking at the judges in the parts where I want to emotionally connect with people. I'm going to make sure that my best poem is the first one, because judges are always harshest in the first round. They start giving higher scores towards the end. So I need to make sure I get the highest score possible to create distance between us in the first round. That's how competitive I am. I choose my poems based on who the judges are.
Wow.
If the judges are all women, I'm
Yeah.
doing love poems, because I'm not going to be able to compete talking about what it feels like to be a man. If I'm dealing with a lot of people who are English writers, I'm gonna lose. So I'm just gonna try to do my best, because English teachers, I don't know why they don't like when I do. They're not fans of my poetry. All right.
That's crazy.
If it's a diverse crowd, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna do my heavyweight, my best stuff. But if I'm trying to have fun, I'll do new poetry and just see, can I win with the poet I am now?
Have you done that?
Yeah. And I've done it and won. I've done it and I've lost.
Amazing.
But if I feel like I'm losing, I'll just revert to the old stuff.
You know what's amazing about you as well?
What a great question.
No, but really, you find it's rare to find people who are competitive and having fun. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, it's not personal.
Huh?
It's not personal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would believe so, but
Yeah.
but so many people don't take it that way. It seems to me you either can be competitive, or you're just having a good time chilling.
Well, that's because movies made being competitive. The competitive person is the bad guy.
Yes.
And the champion is the one who won with the power of friendship.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? Like, can I just say one small thing quickly?
Yeah.
It always frustrated me that Po beat Tai Lung in
wow.
Kung Fu Panda.
Wow.
And the reason is Tai Lung broke his bones for 20 years training and all this stuff.
Crazy.
And then Po, because he's destined, because Oogway told him he's supposed to be the Dragon Warrior and he likes it, beats him in this farcical fight that meant nothing. If they really had to go down,
That's a fact.
it was just the writers decided that Tai Lung had to lose, and they couldn't do it in a way that satisfied the established story and canon. That's my rant on
Wow.
Kung Fu Panda.
No,
Drives me crazy.
that's actually that makes sense. Yeah.
شو 20 سنة
Yeah.
يتدرب واخر شيء يعني مع كل احترام الدب هذا
Yeah.
حرفيا ويغلبه شو السالفة؟
Yeah, Allah. That I don't know, but I don't know how we got into that, but yeah.
Competitive.
Yeah.
I feel like Tai Lung.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's also another word, anger.
Yeah.
So for me, I know this from a rapper that I really love, and if you don't know him, please get to know him, Brother Ali.
Okay.
Incredible rapper. He's an albino rapper, a Muslim rapper.
Oh.
Incredible guy. So he always said there's a difference between anger and hunger. And I think people don't understand. I see a lot of hunger in you, but people are always afraid of the loud.
Yeah.
Do you also have you ever experienced something like that?
Yeah, people think people used to think very much that I was arrogant. And I think, to Brother Ali's point, because when people think of anger, they think of entitlement. And so when you think a hungry person is entitled, it's never going to translate well. And I will be the first to admit that there were definitely aspects of who I was that were obnoxious, that were bombastic, that was, overstepping in terms of how unapologetic I wanted to be. And I've worked on those things, and I focus now more on, even posts like me and Jay, we try to focus on supporting the people coming, less than trying to shine, because,
Yeah, you're.
Oh well.
There's
room for all of us.
You're vibing.
Yeah.
True, 100%.
There's room for all of us, man.
And thank you so much for opening this door. If you allow me, how do you, as Salem, the first poem you did, you addressed a lot of issues right there. But how do you deal with the letdowns of your life as Salem? What is it that you do? Is it a poem? How do you deal with that?
Well, the first thing is, you say Alhamdulillah 4 times, right?
Alhamdulillah, 4 times.
You say, Alhamdulillah ma kan fi dini. Alhamdulillah that it wasn't a bigger musibah. Alhamdulillah that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has protected me from so many other things. And Alhamdulillah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminded me to say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un.
Bless.
So that, that's number 1. Number 2, when it comes to emotions I don't understand, then it's poetry. I understand having debt and I need money. I understand I missed a flight. Those are very easy things to understand. You could just say Alhamdulillah. But if I'm having complicated feelings about relationships in my life or self-identity, that's when poetry comes into play. Because I need to, I got diagnosed with ADHD as an adult. But if I read my poetry from when I was younger, I'm self-diagnosing myself with ADHD. I am talking about myself and all the symptoms that I have. Whether it's time blindness, whether it's impulsivity, whether it's being distracted, whether it's, financial irresponsibility. I'm talking about all those things as funny personality quirks. No, my boy, these are symptoms of ADHD that you have. And so,
wow.
So just to summarize,
if
I understand it, just go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If I don't understand it, go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, write some poetry.
Wow. Man, I'm just loving the conversation so far. It's incredible. We're gonna take a very short break and then we're gonna be right back. There's still a lot of questions I want to ask you. You know the deal. I want to play a record. What record can I play?
Oh man, why am I never prepared for this question?
Any record.
Any record.
Yeah, Arabic, English, anything that comes to your mind.
Just play the theme song from Muhaqqaq Conan.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, wait.
Muhaqqaq Conan.
So what I'll do is this.
Okay, tell me.
1 second, because I'm gonna do this live.
All right, hit me.
I want to get his reaction live, because he's gonna flip out.
All right.
1 second. So we're gonna do this live.
I'll tell you while you're doing that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you guys something. When I was a kid, I had no idea that there was such a thing as called dubbing.
Okay.
And so I just thought Muhaqqaq Conan was an Arabic show. So imagine my surprise when I find out it's like a Japanese show.
Okay.
And we're just listening to it in Arabic. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna make your year.
Okay, let me hear it.
Okay. This is what I'm about to play. Okay. Just for you to know. This is an amazing producer, a friend of mine. His name is Sandhill. And Sandhill worked a lot with a lot of rappers, Narsi, if you know him, and stuff like that. Yeah. So Sandhill is Iraqi, incredible artist. And he has done this.
A lot of great artists come out of Iraq. He
has done this, and I'm putting the camera on you because I want to see your reaction with Conan. Okay? It is Conan. It's one of my favorite instruments to play.
Yeah.
Hip hop twist. Listen. I'm watching your reaction when the beat drops, my brother. Ladies and gentlemen, Sandhill.
Guess what? Yeah. Next you wanna just.
What do you think?
Unbelievable.
Crazy, right?
You know, it's like I can hear Cassidy on this.
Yeah.
It has like kind of like a New York kind of vibe.
But when you said Conan, because Conan, I play this record sometimes when I music select, and people go crazy because like what he was able to do obviously was sampling.
Yeah.
Sampling Conan. And when you said Conan, I was like, oh.
You know what's funny? Sometimes I'll put on a beat.
Yeah.
Like I'll search like a J. Cole type beat, West Side Boogie type beat.
Yeah.
And I'll write poetry to the beat. Because I love.
I was gonna ask you that. That's amazing.
Because I love rhyming, and so it just helps me just get into the flow of like trying to find a rhyme, trying to find the cadence, and so sometimes when I'm writing poetry, I'm just writing rap poorly.
Rap.
Yeah. No, I'm writing rap poorly because
Rap poorly.
Yeah, because I don't know how to write a beat. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to write the beat, and what ends up happening is I'm just writing poetry.
Yeah, but it helps you write.
100%.
That's amazing. Let's hear this full record. Actually, I'm gonna play the original OG, obviously, the original Muhaqqaq Conan record right here on Pulse 95 Radio. We're gonna be right back. I'm with SALEM Al ATTAS, who's just an incredible human being. Right now, we're having a great time. Keep it locked. Do not go anywhere. It's Pulse 95.
Vibe with Big Hass, only on Pulse 95.
Pulse 95 Radio, catch a vibe, ladies and gentlemen. This music in the background is so special to me. So obviously our dear guest who's with us, SALEM Al ATTAS, who's an incredible poet, the first Emiarti slam poet, someone who's very, very talented. I'm not sure if he's going to recognize it or no, but I'm going to wait until it kicks. Were you a fan of old Arabic cartoon anime?
No, I wish. I'm not a fan of anime regardless, so I'm gonna disappoint you.
No, like old Arabic cartoon, you know, like that.
Not even.
No,
You know, we had Space Tune and NBC3, and then our cable subscription just changed it. So I got Nickelodeon. Then I started talking English.
It's Grandizer. If you know you know Grandizer.
Shout out to my boy Abdullah Arif. He was my best friend in school. Grandizer was his favorite cartoon, and he wanted to beat me up because I didn't know Grandizer. So shout out Abdullah Arif. I love you.
Abdullah.
Yeah.
Do this for you, Abdullah.
This for you, Abdullah.
Yeah. Salem, can we talk about your poetry in English? And obviously in Arabic. How do you perform in Arabic as well? Like how?
Yeah. So I add Arabic to my poems, but my poems are generally in English.
Okay, yeah.
And it's for two reasons. One, I always felt more comfortable expressing myself in English, and for simply just because there was no structure to it.
Okay.
You know, so with Arabic poetry, especially like Nabati style and all that stuff, there's a specific cadence, there's a specific rhyme structure, and I like to just be able to do my own thing when it came to English.
So I love that you said that.
Yeah.
And I had this kind of answer prepared because I knew that you might say that.
Yeah.
I just really wish someone would introduce this whole slam poetry in Arabic too.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a lot. Maybe I've seen one or two people do it, but it's exactly that. This needs to be broken. The thing is with poetry in Arabic, it's so much history.
Yeah.
It's all about if you mess with it, it's a problem. But it's happening in music. When they sample Abdul Halim, when they sample Kulthum, when they all these incredible greats, legends. Mm-hmm. But I mean, we have to you have to make people love it.
Yeah.
And I think are you comfortable in
No. I love that idea.
Okay.
I always think about the fact that culture that has weight behind it tends to become static. The bigger an object is, the harder it is to move it. You know what I mean?
Fact.
And so when you come in and you come from the slam poetry world and you're going to try to bring in slam poetry, it's almost like you're trying to some people take it like, oh, so what we're doing is wrong and you're the progressive. This is the progress.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't think that at all. If I end up doing that, it's not progress, it's alternative. It's an easier way for me to do it. I'm doing push-ups on my knees. That's what I'm doing. You guys are doing the crazy Superman push-ups. I'm doing assisted push-ups. I'm not saying your push-ups are wrong. I'm just saying this is how I know how to do it. This is an alternative.
Yeah.
It's easier for me. But absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Rooftop Rhythms.
Yeah.
A big shout out to them.
Yeah. They got Rooftop Rhythms Arabia.
They did.
Yeah.
They do. What's the role of Rooftop Rhythm in SALEM Al ATTAS' life?
Oh, man. Well, so when I moved back to Abu Dhabi, I just Googled Poetry Slam Abu Dhabi.
Wow.
And it linked me to this poetry open mic thing that was happening at the Abu Dhabi International Book Fair.
Oh.
And so, I'm trying to figure out how to register, whatever, and I can't find anything, so I just go to the book fair on the day and the time.
Okay.
That's where I meet Dorian, I meet Farah Shamma there, I meet a bunch of other amazing poets, and I ask if I can get on the open mic, and they said, yeah, there's a slam, and I'm like, oh, I can slam, and then I go, you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm good, because I had a couple poems, and I really thought I was that guy. So if you go over time, they take points away from you.
Oh.
There was a girl that went over time, and she got points taken away from her, and I was still last place. And that was my first competition. I got 6th place out of 6 people, and people got penalized, and it wasn't me.
Oh, man.
But I loved competing, because I didn't even consider competing before. And that was
the first time you meet Dorian.
First time I meet Dorian, first time I'm at Rooftop, first time I compete in poetry, all in one night. So you can imagine how overwhelming it was.
If someone would ask you, what's the role that Rooftop Rhythms played in your career as a poet, what would it be?
Well, number one, it supplemented my self-esteem when I wasn't good at anything else. Number two, Dorian had given me so many opportunities and gigs to perform, paid opportunities, unpaid opportunities, always looking out for artists like myself.
Facts.
It gave me a space where I could practice and hone and sharpen my skills every month in, month out.
Wow.
And, you know, to this day, I mean, I met Dorian when I was 19. I'm 30.
Wow.
And so I grew up with this guy. This guy's my mentor. He's my big brother. He's
Amazing.
a friend. And so, yeah.
I love that you said that. Salem, do you shock yourself sometimes?
Yeah, I shock myself when I'm being so mean to myself. And I'm like, I'm a phony, and I'm a imposter syndrome, all that stuff. And then I write a poem like, oh man, I'm so good, dude. I still got it. I'm him.
Love that.
You know?
Do you ever get scared of losing that passion of writing?
No, because you go insane long enough, eventually you'll come back to sanity. And so
Wow.
even if I fall out of love, I can come back. I did have those fears because I felt like I had too much of a professional relationship with poetry, with doing all this commercial work that I wasn't writing when I loved it and when the inspiration hits me. And so I would force myself to write because I would still have those little itches, like a line would come, but I would just dismiss it. I stopped dismissing it and I forced myself to write those poems.
Wow.
So yeah.
What was that? Did that took time
Yeah.
for it to happen? What
Well-
you just said?
Well, it's like the feelings are always going to be there. It's not like I stopped being an emotional person, but I just had to reconnect to that infrastructure I built to funneling those emotions into poetry. You know what I mean? It's
Dude,
like
how do you? Can I ask you a stupid question right now? This is a really stupid
there's
question.
no such thing.
Do you see words
No, I don't.
at all?
Actually, I'm lying. I do. Absolutely. Like sometimes I literally look up because I'll see the words in front of my face. That's crazy. Yeah, I do see words.
But it's crazy with talking to you because
Yeah.
so like I'm nowhere near as talented as you
Please,
are. No,
don't.
seriously. I'm in the talent world. Putting the music down right now. Your talent when you're speaking, there's an energy about you that is so refreshing and so cool, and that's why I say I was going to reference Dr. Sultan al-Niyadi, the Emirati astronaut who just obviously came back and he's the first Arab to spacewalk.
Yeah.
Incredible. And the reason why I said that is because I feel that he's inspired so many people to become astronauts.
Yeah.
Just because people watched his story.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
You know what's
incredible.
my favorite part of that story? His father wrote a poem for him when he came back.
Exactly. I was going to say that.
It's beautiful.
So his father wrote a poem.
Allah yahfadhum.
Big time.
Yeah.
I feel. The question is, and you've done a lot of commercials. You've represented the UAE as well.
Alhamdulillah.
What is the most closest thing to your heart? Is something that you've done that you can share with us? I'm sure all of them are amazing and it's incredible opportunity. But something that you can share with us right now, specifically about representing this beautiful country.
I'll tell you. So, I have a brother who has Down syndrome and autism, Omar.
Shout out to him.
I love my brother with all my heart. I named my son after my brother.
Yeah.
Without getting too emotional, when the Special Olympics contacted me, they had an artist, Esma, who had written a poem, and they wanted me to workshop with her to make it sound more like slam poetry and for me to record it. And so, I went into the studio. I met this unbelievable poet who we've seen at a few events. We've run into each other many times, and she's somebody who has autism, but is an unbelievable artist, unbelievable poet. Wow. And so we worked. It's not like I just took her poem and fixed it. We sat side by side. We worked together. She told me what she would change, what I would change, and she liked some ideas. She didn't like. So we were we were both happy with it. I went in the studio and recorded it, and it was played during the opening ceremony for the Special Olympics in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah,
and so
I attended that. Oh my God.
Yeah, and so when my parents saw that, and my mother cried.
Bless you, man. Yeah, bless you.
That was the greatest thing I ever did.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Big round of applause. Wow. It's crazy. It's crazy to see the impact of words, right? Like the words. Biggie has a record, so never thought that hip hop would take you this far.
Yeah.
Did you think that poetry?
Hip hop would take you this far?
and sorry for getting you emotional right
No,
there.
no.
Did you think that poetry would take you?
No.
like this?
No, poetry, I was always comfortable with the relationship I was going to have with poetry, is that I love poetry and I get to perform. And I was going to do it for as long as I could. But the opportunities it has given me, you know, I've been able to go to the States or in Kuwait, and I've been able to represent my country. You know, I've done like 3 separate National Day campaigns and performed for ministries and artists and pop-ups. I've performed on a shoebox or on the street on a giant stage. You know, I've been heard by millions, and I've had hate comments, and I've had poets email me telling me that they love my work. You know, when I started, I was the first Emirati, but I never liked being the only. And now there's a bunch of amazing artists. So shout out to Ali Zahabi, shout out to Maryam al-Shihi, you know, shout out to all these amazing artists. And if I didn't say your name, I'm sorry.
Bless.
All of you are amazing, and you guys are inspiring the next and the next and the next generation of Emirati poets. So
wow, man, what a guy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The reason why I said that as well, it's incredible that you're talking about the Special Olympics and how you became so good with words that you wrote this this piece, you know, obviously, and with Esma, right? Was it with Esma, and how it impacted your family in a way, and now you have a son, you know, Umar, Allah yahfadhu. Man, it's incredible. It's the moment where I don't want to end this, but but just a couple more questions before we hear you. If someone would ask Salem, what has been the most challenging aspect out of this journey so far, what would it be?
To keep going. I heard a phrase recently that was so great, which is perfection is the enemy of great. And so a lot of times perfectionism is just this kind of, it's a veil for insecurity. And so just keep writing, keep performing, keep showing up, and just just keep trying. Because you don't know. None of us know. All of us are making it up as we go along. You don't know if it's going to be successful or not. You don't. So try anyway.
So when you said that as a challenge, that means you tried and you find that difficult to keep going.
I find it difficult to be consistent. I've had the only thing I've ever been consistent with in my life is poetry. I never was consistent with, you know, gym or jiu-jitsu or schoolwork or poetry was the only thing I was able to be consistent with.
It's home.
And it's where I found the most success, subhanallah. So
subhanallah.
Yeah.
Faith.
Yeah.
We've addressed faith in this interview, you know, a couple of times. I love that. I connect with you a lot on that because I rely a lot on my faith, a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like we're never alone. Allah's there with us
Always.
at 3:41 p.m., whatever it is the time. What's the role of faith in Salem Al Attas' life?
So my identity first is as a Muslim, Abdullah. And that's my barometer for whether I'm doing the right thing or the wrong thing.
Wow.
And so if something makes me uncomfortable, like one of the reasons that I'm never going to try stand-up comedy is that it's always in a bar. It's always in a lounge. So how can I feel comfortable? And no judgment to anybody who does
I
it.
hear you, of
but
course.
for
Yeah.
Ana Kasalem,
Yeah.
I can't go on stage and perform for people who are drinking. You know what I mean?
Knowing that,
Especially where I'm at right now, I'm 30. Listen, if I was 20, and maybe it wouldn't have bothered me then. But where I'm at right now,
you feel like you're closer.
if I can't take my wife and kids somewhere, why should I be performing there?
That's amazing. Yeah,
You know
I mean,
what I
I
mean?
go by that as well.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Man, what's the ultimate dream for Salem Al Attas? Like, what's the dream? You know, you've won competitions, you've won people's hearts, you represented the UAE, you made a name of yourself. When you talk about poetry in the UAE, your name always comes up. Like, you know, it's a fact. It's not something that your name always comes up. I've done my homework. Even before this interview, I've asked, your name always comes up. So you've done that, and that is already tough to achieve. But what's the ultimate dream for you?
That my kids see that their dad pursued what he wanted, and trust that if they came to me trying to pursue things, we could have an open and honest conversation about it.
Wow. Is with that, I don't know if it's a personal question, you know, remove it if you don't want to answer, but does that mean with the family and poetry, how did they see it? Like, was there
Well, I made it really easy because I didn't tell them. I didn't tell them
Wow.
for the longest time.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was a secret. Yeah. أنا كسالم,
Yeah.
I have always categorized things in my life.
Okay.
I don't want people at school talking to me about poetry. I don't want people at poetry talking to me about jitsu. I don't want people at jitsu talking to me about school.
Okay.
You are here, you're there, you're there.
You
Family.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I compartmentalized everything.
That's the word.
And so
Oh, wow.
my parents found out in 2015 because I had a slam poetry competition that was really important. And then my dad was like, we have a wedding. And I was like, Bob, I have a poetry competition. I need you to come with me. And he's
No
like,
way.
Yeah, he's like, what? He's like, what? There was so many, questions that... And I'm like, I have a poetry competition,
Bless.
and I need you to come with me.
Yeah.
And he's like, we have a wedding. I'm like, it means a lot to me if you'd come with me to this event.
Okay.
And
That means I'm not going to the
yeah,
wedding.
yeah, I'm not going to the wedding. And you know what? Him, my uncle, his brother,
La.
my brother,
La.
they came.
Wow.
They sat front row. And the reason they sat front row is because I went early. I went to the concierge. I asked for a reserved plaque, and they just gave me one. I put it at the front table. So nobody sat there. My
I
dad
love it.
sat in the front.
Love
He watched me perform. He watched me win a slam competition. It was amazing. It was cool. For him, it was like, as long as you finish your studies. After I finished my studies,
Okay.
oh, they're cool. They love it.
Wow.
Yeah, they love it. They love it. I mean, like I said, they knew, when I told them about the Special Olympics thing, they couldn't wait to see the performance. So, yeah.
But that's amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I know that you have one more poem that you
Yeah.
can perform for us.
Yeah.
But before that, what's the what do you tell somebody right now that are having doubts about themselves just because they're not getting enough validation from the people around them? They're working so hard. They've been doing this thing for the past 15, 20 years. And sometimes they don't get the validation because they think, of course, as humans, we want that validation, and they don't get that tap on the back. They don't get the thank you. They don't get from their boss. Whatever. If they're listening to you right now, maybe your word, and if it impacted one person,
Yeah.
it's important. What would you
Yeah.
tell them?
Number one, ask yourself, are you doing this for validation, or do you think validation is just a byproduct of the work that you're doing? Here's the reality. If I took 20 people and I could pull out of their mind the 20 versions of myself that exist, how many of them would I recognize? And so you're upset that they're not giving you validation, but they're not even thinking of you. They're thinking of whoever that person is in their mind. So if you're looking for validation from other people, you're always going to be disappointed. You have to ask yourself, what am I getting out of it? And if, honest to God, if the juice isn't worth the squeeze, throw away the fruits. Do something else. But if there is something that's kept you here for 15, 20 years, then ask yourself honestly what that actually is. Because people will stay in toxic relationships not because of the potential the person has, but because it's comfortable being the victim or comfortable being the good guy and not having to confront what's wrong with you, because all you have to focus on is what's wrong with them, right? So ask yourself, what are you getting out of it?
Yeah.
And if you're getting nothing out of it, ask yourself why. Because it doesn't have to... other people don't necessarily have to be the problem, and other people don't necessarily have to be the solution.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bro, you're incredible.
Habibi, I appreciate it.
Seriously, I say this. It's amazing just
Thank
having
you,
a
man.
conversation
Thank
with you. Okay, we were talking off air about what poem would you do, and
Yeah.
I was asking you something hard,
Yeah.
and you chose the one where you were talking about all the ADHD.
Yeah. So
Does it have a name?
No, most of my poems don't have names. I don't know why. I'm really bad at this.
No, that's good.
So I wrote a love poem,
Okay.
and then I let my older sister hear it.
Oh.
As many younger brothers do to their older sisters, they annoy them.
Bless.
And
Bless.
and so I asked Ahmed, I was like, hey, what do you think of the poem? And she just bluntly said to me, you only write about love, yani, ma عندك شيطاني. And I was just like, that hurts so bad.
Yeah, that's.
And so I was like, okay, fine, I'll write about myself. And I realized many years later
That
I'm writing about ADHD and the symptoms that I have.
crazy, and that was before you got diagnosed.
It was a year before I got diagnosed.
That's
And so,
insane.
So when I read it now, it's like, subhanallah, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it is.
That yeah.
It's like I was so self-aware, I just didn't know what any of it meant.
When you were diagnosed, what
Yeah.
was the first thing that came to my mind? Was it that poem?
No. What the first thing that came to mind was that I can forgive myself for not doing well in school, because it completely reframed how I saw it.
But it's a personal question. But
Yeah.
what did it mean to you that you were diagnosed? Did it make a lot of sense?
Yeah.
Did it make a lot of things make sense?
Yeah, well, hindsight is 2020. Suddenly it was like, well, yeah, of course I had ADHD. I could never focus. I was always distracted. I'm impulsive. I'm all of these things. And the more I read about the symptoms, the more I read about it, the more I realized, yeah, this is what I have. And for people that do struggle with ADHD,
Yeah.
I'll just give one piece of advice. Don't let people tell you it's a personality quirk or it's a superpower, because it has become commodified and quirky and interesting. No, dude, you have a disorder. Go get help. Get therapy, behavioral therapy, medication, whatever it looks like to you, because it's not helping. Okay? Seeing the world as fuzzy doesn't make you quirky. It means you need glasses. You know what I mean? So in the same way, ADHD, maybe it helped me be creative. Maybe.
Yeah.
But it also helps. It also means that my car is messy. It also means that I'm 3,000 kilometers late on an oil change, and I'm being nice to myself when I say 3,000 kilometers.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean?
Bless you, my brother.
So yeah,
Well, it's so cool. You're at peace with yourself, Salem.
alhamdulillah.
Yeah,
Alhamdulillah.
that's amazing.
Yeah. Can I
no.
just say why real quick?
Yeah, of course.
Because I have, one of the reasons why is because I have a partner, I have a wife who
Oh, bless.
genuinely accepts me for whatever I am in that
Shout out,
moment.
Sarah. Big one up.
You know, shout out to my mom.
Omar,
Yeah,
we see you.
yeah.
And Omar, inshallah, will grow to see this part.
Inshallah.
Actually, I want to give this to Omar. This is
Yeah.
where's my camera? I don't know where my camera is, but somewhere there. Omar, I'm a big fan of your father. He's incredible. He impacted me in this interview. I was actually asking that question for me because I'm going through that. Been doing this thing for quite some time, and this human who happens to be your father have impacted me. And I would say this: there's an old Bedouin saying. It says in Arabic, "إن الإنسان الذي لا أثر له لا حياة له." A human being with no impact has no life. And guess what? Your father has at least impacted me, and I'm sure he impacted thousands and millions of people. And he is your father. So God bless you and him. How about that?
Oh, I'm gonna clip that, man. I'm gonna.
No, but seriously, that's
Yeah,
incredible.
Thank you.
You know,
so
we
much,
live for our children, and it's
Alhamdulillah. Absolutely.
how's it being a father, man? Like that's
Joy of my life. But it's easier for me to say that because I'm the dad, right?
any poems on Omar?
No, it's so hard. It
Oh,
is
wow.
so hard to
Wow.
write like
Wow.
that level of vulnerability is hard.
No, but it changed your perceptions, I'm sure, on some
Everything.
things.
Everything.
Like, everything.
Like nothing is as important as it was.
Ya Allah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's
So I
just
put
him.
things in a perspective. Like,
So much perspective.
man,
You know?
see, this was kind of my way, not to end this, but like we were over time, but we, obviously I can't wait to hear this. Salem, I want to thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Whenever you're ready, catch a vibe, Pulse 95 Radio, with the incredible Salem Al Attas. Take it away.
I am a creator of problems that don't exist. I'm a builder of walls that block relationships. I am a performer. My mask resembles me, except happy and worry-free. Nothing can worry me. I'm exactly who I'm meant to be, or am I? I am a destroyer of stereotypes. Because a slam champ in a condora doesn't sound right, but I do, and that's the truth. I spit rhymes without entering a booth, a little broken like my chipped tooth, but I'm the poster boy for Emiarti youth. I work hard, I'm handsome, and I'm humble. Yes, that's a contradiction, but you don't have to be arrogant to believe with my conviction. Oh, I believe I'm the best me, but there's a better me down the line, or up the ladder, or down the rabbit hole, or the mountain I must climb. I will find him and be him, for his fate is mine, because you are wrong to believe I've already hit my prime. Prime numbers, I'm hard to divide. I came full circle like the number pi. I'm not perfect, but at least I try, and if I love you, you can have the last fry. I'm an intellectual with a goofy demeanor. I don't believe the grass is always greener. I'll
wow.
ignore a flu till it's a fever and find faith in a non-believer. I'm lazy. I only do things when it's too late. Like it's over, you've sealed your fate. Like the final will get you a passing grade, I'm afraid. The unknown knows how to shake me. I met a lot of people who thought they could break me, but it's the future that I fear. Whether it's far or near, it's clear. Consequences don't disappear. And I have a lot to make right. I hate when people are mad at me, and I don't like to fight. I always have to learn things the hard way. I say I don't care about my birthday. I'm lying, but I don't want to be. My habits always put me in catastrophes. The son of 2 engineers turned out to be good at poetry, and when I speak, I'm not sure they know it's me.
Oh, wow.
I'm scruffy, though I like to call it fluffy, because finding rice in your beard isn't cute, it's actually yucky. I have an amazing family, though I wouldn't call myself lucky, but I am blessed and know they deserve better from me. I am not deserving, but they still showed me love. My father called me a lion when I was still a cub, but I am not Simba. And you are not Nala. You left a scar because I couldn't Mufasa, but I'm well dressed. Do you see this Kandora? I'm ahead of the game and I'm about to move further. See, I am an Emiarti who doesn't just want to feed off his country. I want to be someone useful and I'm hungry. See, I can't be silenced. Fight me. I don't take my place as one of Iyal Zaid lightly. I'm on a reservation, but I'm dying at the border because I'm about to break out and that's the lion's order. I'm Corniche on Friday and the beach Saturday morning. I'm busy. And I've been known to spit bars to make the girls dizzy. I wrote this before I was married. I don't play Jason Mraz on my ukulele. I play Biggie. I am the unlucky bandit, which means I got a few tricks up my sleeve and a little bit of magic. A dash and good looks with a little bit of sadness, and you have a man who was a slave to his habits. I'm a peaceful man who gets very mad. I'm Heisenberg to my habits. Call that Breaking Bad. I'm a student of movement. I study grooves and patterns that make us human. Human touches that tighten or loosen or keep away because we want to be prudent. I grew up a bit of a screw up, but I hammered out my flaws because I had the tools to move up. You all move me. We all know our parts, counting stars. Do you know who you are? Self-reflection is a habit. Ask yourself, what is my passion? Start every day with I am and get at it. Show me who you are, and I'll match it. My name is SALEM Al ATTAS. Thank you guys for your time.
Wow. That, ladies and gentlemen, that... How do you enter this? Seriously. he's genuinely laughing. I had to enter this. Allah.
That was amazing.
Salim, Allah yahmeek.
Habibi, Allah yahfadhak.
Man, thank you so much for the
Thank you for
beautiful,
having me,
beautiful, chat, the laughs,
Thank you for this conversation.
the cries.
Yeah.
This was so refreshing, and oh my God, what? I gotta ask you this: Are you thinking of writing a book or compiling
Coming
this?
up this year, inshallah.
When? This year?
Yeah.
Oh, it's done.
No, not yet. Not
Okay.
yet. It's almost done.
Okay. Okay.
So put this out so I have to be accountable board. By
Okay.
September, October, inshallah, it should be done.
It will be like a poetry book.
Poetry book.
Man, please let us know when we want to
Inshallah.
support it because it's
Absolutely,
incredible.
man. Absolutely.
Salim, where can people follow you? What's
You
your
can follow me on
Instagram?
Instagram, Salim_Attas, ATTAS. You can search for me on YouTube. Just write Salem Al Attas. You'll find a bunch of random videos of me doing my thing over there.
Man, any last words you'd like to say?
Love yourself. Follow God. Nothing matters other than what you think matters.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, this was obviously our episode. I'm gonna let the circle of life end this. Do you like The Lion King?
Are you kidding me? But I like Lion King 2 more.
Oh,
We'll talk
wow.
about it next time.
Okay, next time. The circle of life. Ladies and gentlemen, Salim Al Attas, the first Emirati slam poet. He was our guest. Incredible guy, amazing energy. Allah yahmeek. God bless you,
Allah yahfadhak.
Abu Umar. Peace and love, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Wa Ahmed, peace out.
Peace and love, and we say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
See you guys. Tomorrow's work.
Salam.